আজকে আমরা today we learn Rousseau's view on education. That is, I made first semester philosophy of education syllabus topic. Rousseau was born in Geneva, Switzerland in 1712. His mother died a few days after his birth. So he grew under the care of his father and aunt. Rousseau's father was an ordinary watchmaker and was a prolific person. He loved Rousseau, but he could not look after him well. Rousseau received his early education from his father and had started to read fiction from the age of 6 years. When he was sent to school, he was subjected to unfavorable influence due to artificial environment and system of punishment. As a result, he fled from school. He started to study history and religious book at home. When he was tired of, of reading, he did look at town's natural scenery. This routine went on until the age of 10. Natural environment of Geneva had profound effect on him, which later blossomed into his thinking and writing. Each thinker has his own specific philosophical thought. It is another thing whether he propounds it clearly or not. Rousseau was a thinker who was not presented his philosophical thought in a proper sequence, but we can guess his philosophical thought by his conduct, statements, and articles. His conduct, statement, and article are very diverse. He appears to be an idealistic at one place and naturalistic at another. He provides religious and moral education for both of his Emile, male character, and Sophia, female character in his book Emile. Metaphysics of Rousseau's philosophical thought. Though Rousseau has not written anything about the creation of the universe, nor he has analyzed soul and God anywhere, but he believed in God. He accepted the existence of the soul and God, but opposed the padres who describe themselves as the means of attaining paradise. The padres were exploiting the common people in the name of religion all over Europe. Rousseau thought that God has created his material world with due thought and each matter is pure in itself. So is man, so we should allow him to live according to his own nature. Epistemology and logics of Rousseau's philosophical thought. According to Rousseau, the knowledge of nature is the true knowledge. I use the word nature in several forms. One for that which is made without he has human effort. Second, for that which man has got by birth with not interfered. Rousseau considers civilization and science as the main cause of all suffering of the world. Therefore, he did not consider the knowledge as necessary. Later, he prepared a complete layout of the ideal state and prepared an exhaustive education for man and emphasized on teaching man all that which is beneficial to human being as a whole. Axiology and ethics of philosophical thought of Rousseau. Rousseau considered man as the best creation of God, and he knew that God has made him good from birth. This is the reason that he advised men to be free from all types of social, political, and religious rule in order to behave according to his own nature. He believed that man's basic nature is simple and pure and of loving on another and to live a happy life. His own experience was that man learns how to tell a lie and to deceive and exploitive in the name of civilization. And it was true of his times that the intellectual classes were exploiting the common people immensely. Even if we overlook his statement in the former half and pay attention to the latter half, we find that Rousseau expected man to have simple and pure conduct. He expected of him to love and cooperate with one another, and not tell a lie or deceive or exploit on another. Educational thought of Rousseau. Educational thought of Rousseau is based on the following basic thoughts. The nature is pure, simple, beautiful, and pleasant. Second, man's nature is also independent, but pure, simple, beautiful, and pleasant. He wants to live independently, yet he has the inherent attitude of loving on another, cooperating with one another, and pleasing on another. Third, society is replete with several defects, and nature is completely pure. Fourth, man's behavior has become unnatural or artificial. Due to civilization, he has come to hate in place of loving and to exploit others in place of thinking of other happiness. Fifth, we get true knowledge from nature and not from society. That is the main concept of the Rousseau's educational thought, that we have more knowledge from nature, not from society. Nature teach better than society. Sixth, man sense organs are the gateway of knowledge. That is five sense organ. That is eye, nose, teeth, a nose, tongue, skin, air. That is five sense organ which we get information from this organ, and this information makes this knowledge. 7. Education by sense organ is true education. Now we shall make an effort to analyze this educational thought in an orderly way. Aims of education. Rousseau has divided the period of education into four levels or stages and has determined different aims for each of these levels. We can arrange the aims as determined by him as the aims of education is to develop physical development, training of sense organs, intellectual development, emotional development, art of living, protection of rights, development independent personality. That is the main aim of the education, to develop all this aspect. Curriculum of education. Rousseau has presented psychological stage of human development as infancy, childhood, adolescence, and Youth. He determined different aims and different curricula for this stage. Meanings, Rousseau emphasized more on psychological stage, whichever is good for this stage, that is included in curriculum, and decide different aims and objectives. Method of teaching. Rousseau's effort to keep artificiality from educational field is commendable. He said that the children should be kept away from the artificial and defective environment of the society to keep them in the lap of nature for education. There is the main funda of this Rousseau's education, that the lap of nature for the education. His first slogan was back to nature. His second slogan was allow him to learn independently. He emphasized the education of sense organs. Education through sense organs. His third slogan. His fourth slogan was give freedom to children in learning. His fifth slogan was to give opportunity to children to develop according to their interest. In net examination, we seen this slogan, the MCQ question, where mentioned the back to nature, who said that that is a Rousseau, and allow him to learn independently is also his slogan. Discipline. Rousseau presented two principles regarding discipline, the principle of complete freedom and the principle of natural consequences. According to the first principle, the children should be given complete freedom for behavior, and the second principle clarifies that nature itself punishes the children for their erroneous tasks. So the teacher should not give any punishment to them That is mean discipline in sense of Rousseau there's two: the complete freedom and the principle of natural consequence. Whatever do by children by uh, man can get punished from the nature. That is the main discipline of Rousseau. Teacher. Rousseau has two contradictory views about the teacher. First, he considered the teachers full of evils and wanted to keep the children away from them and to provide them education in love of nature. Second, he respected the teacher to assist the student in learning naturally. And that is mean the Rousseau has two contradictory about the teacher. At the time he called that teacher have no role in this learning process. But second, we see that teacher assist the student learning naturally, and that is nature. Nature is the main. All this Rousseau's thinking that the child-centric education has still that in nature education. A student, Rousseau was the first man who raised the voice for freedom of man. He respected the individuality of the children in the educational field and emphasized on arranging education according to their interest, aptitude, and ability. Prior to Rousseau, education was either teacher centered or curriculum centered. Rousseau emphasized on making it child centered. That is the main child centric education or form given by Rousseau, not teacher centered education. Rousseau dismissed the teacher centered education and emphasized more on child centered education. Keep it in mind very precisely because this is the very important line for any exam purpose or any Rousseau related question. School. Rousseau was greatly dissatisfied with the contemporary society and social institutes. Earlier we see that he dismissed the society's role in knowledge for he only emphasized on nature. In this school, he also dissatisfied with society and social institutes like any library. A library also is a social institute, but he emphasizes directly indicated the school. He opposed the strict control system of the contemporary school on the student, allowed them from allowing them doing anything according to their own nature. He opposed even the school timetable. That is the main thinking power of the Rousseau because timetable is strict. Uh, mm, some written activity. There's activity not a very scientific way that children development has hampered. Influence of Rousseau. Rousseau was a revolutionary thinker. At one time, his thought had created a revolution, but due to his criticism of religion, philosophy, society instead, but her, but his theory, but his thought criticized the religion, philosophy, and society instead. That is the reason for some person dislikes him. But the rapidity with his thoughts were accepted, were rejected equally rapidly. But he would be remembered always for providing psychological basis to education. Today, education is based on psychology in almost all countries of the world. Children's nature is given specific importance in the educational field. The whole process of education planned on the basis of the interest, aptitude, abilities of the children. That is why we shall learn in B.Ed or M.Ed in mm, uh, child psychology or and psychology of education because we have known everything about interest, aptitude, ability of the children. Rousseau is considered to be the father of progressive education. Yes, it is very important. Progressive education is who is father of progressive education? Rousseau, in place of orthodox education in the world. Conclusion. In brief, it can be said that Rousseau was not opposed to the society, but he was opposed to the contemporary, the polluted society in which the rich were exploiting opposed poor and the intellectual were exploiting the simple people. He was not hands of patrician religion in the but name was against the exploitation of common people at the of the religion. He was not opposed to the state even. was opposed to contemporary despotic administrative system and hard aristocracy. He opposed to the individual for the state, and he raised his voice again against it, which later culminated into the French Revolution of 1789 and the establishment of democracy in place of monarchy and aristocracy. Rousseau was greatly dissatisfied with the education of his times. He laid emphasis on freeing education from the church and state control in order to effect natural individual development of the children. He put forward his suggestion regarding aims of education, curriculum, and teaching method. He gave the slogan of complete freedom in place of harsh discipline in the field of education and emphasized a removing artificiality to stimulate natural environment in school. That is some quiz question we have discussed about Rousseau's educational thought, about education philosophy. That is the first question. To which country did Rousseau belong originally? We see in the introduction Rousseau belonging to the Switzerland. In his book, do we find Rousseau educational thought cheaply? Also, I learned from this Emil. That is, Emil is the male character, Sophie is the female character. Into how many parts Rousseau divided the duration of education? Rousseau divided into four stages of education. In those control, did Rousseau want to place education? None of this, because he not emphasize state, church, or society. He only emphasized on nature. See the answer? That is the Switzerland male. Third is C, fourth, and D is none of this because he all emphasize nature, not state, church, or society. That is today's my resource related educational thought or educational philosophy. Uh, Thank you for watching, or that is my new video lecture for this. I prepare more to effect more learning, and teaching learning process are effective to two way, but this is the on way of teaching because I recorded this video. So we learn so much, a lot of information, and thank you for all of us. Thank you.